Golf Central on YouTube is brought to you by the new elite family of woods and irons from Callaway.
Here are some notable tee times for Wednesday. Ludvig Aberg will play with Keegan Bradley in Sahith Theegala on the north course. And on the south course, the defending champ Matthew Pavon tees off with Shane Lowry and Tony Finau, while Hideki Matsuyama will play with two past champions in Jason Day and Max Homa. Kira K. Dixon is also on the grounds this week, handling the reporting duties at Torrey Pines. Hello, Kira.
Hello, Damon. Well, you mentioned that notable tee time in Ludvig Aberg, Keegan Bradley, and Sahith Theegala tomorrow at the Farmers Insurance Open. And could this be a preview of the Ryder Cup and what we see in September? We'll have to wait and see about that. But I did have the opportunity to speak with both Ludvig Aberg and Keegan Bradley. Let's start with Ludvig. Last year was his debut year at the Farmers Insurance Open. He finished top 10. And when I spoke with him, he told me why this is a place that seems to speak to him.
I really like the area. It's so beautiful, kind of looking out at the ocean brings me a little bit of peace, I feel like. So I always had Torrey Pines circled on my calendar as one of the tournaments I want to come back to.
So this season, the narrative for you is not necessarily, oh, you're playing for the first time. How is he going to do for the first time? You're coming into it now as a seasoned professional. So what's the confidence difference like?
Yeah, it is different. I mean, just kind of knowing your way around a little bit, knowing where to park, knowing where to eat, and all these things, it makes it a lot easier and takes away a lot of stress Monday through Wednesday or in this case, Sunday through Tuesday, where you don't need to prepare as much. You don't need to spend that much time on the golf course. It's more of getting you more accustomed and then kind of knowing where the pins are going to be at. So I'm really looking forward to that this year. I think it's going to be a big difference, and hopefully I can use it to my advantage.
And you've had a nice season to the start to the season so far, great finish at Century. What are you working on? What's new?
Yeah, for sure. I think it was nice to be back playing again. I'm looking forward to this next coming stretch, play a lot of tournaments, and kind of get back to knowing, when you're playing, instead of having one tournament 2 weeks off, one tournament 3 weeks off, one tournament. So it'll be nice to kind of get into a flow of playing a lot. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And yeah, just keep playing, keep having fun, and then make sure that I do things the right way and see where that ends up.
Yeah, and speaking of doing things the right way, I want to check in on your knee. You had left knee surgery last September. You went through the whole rehab process, said you got back to 100%. Now in the maintenance stage, making sure you never re-injure yourself. What does that look like? What's the routine around it?
Yeah, it's getting stronger. I'd like to get a little bit stronger. I think we're working on that quite a bit, but it was nice to have that little bit of time off. It was nice to get it done, and it was I had about 4 weeks off in general, or in total, and first couple of weeks I thought it was quite nice. So, but yeah, it's nice to be back now, and all I want to do is obviously stay healthy and be able to play as much and practice as much as I can.
All right, Damon, so Ludvig Aberg feeling good and strong to start the season. Now if we talk about Keegan Bradley, for him, if we set aside the Ryder Cup, he's also had a strong start to the season, finished tied for 6th at the Sony, and there's just something about getting to be inside the ropes that gives him clarity and maybe set aside some of those Ryder Cup responsibilities.
I think I made the cut around on the number and had a really great weekend, really nice Sunday. But I truly love playing around this place, and one of my favorite tournaments of the year.
You've had a great start to the season so far. What's new? What's working?
I feel really nice. Got a lot going on off the golf course, so when I get inside the ropes, it's sort of like a pressure reliever, which is not always the case for me. So I always lately getting inside the ropes on Thursday has been a relief.
Yeah. Speaking of a lot going on off the golf course, what's a day in the life for the Ryder Cup captain?
Well, I come here, try to do my real job, and then as soon as I leave here, pretty much at every second I'm working on little things for the Ryder Cup, thinking about ideas and talking to some of the guys. So it's a full-time gig.
Can we talk about the mustache? Is this a superstition thing? What's going on with it?
Yeah, I did it as a joke to my family in Maui, and they all loved it. So I kept it for them, and we'll see. As I keep playing, it'll stay. If I don't, it'll be gone.
Now, as Keegan mentioned, this is a venue that he loves. He finished runner-up here to Max Homa back in 2023. TBD on if the mustache stays, but guys, this is certainly a great opportunity for him to spend some time with some potential Team USA Ryder Cup members or to scout the opposition in his tee time. But either way, Keegan Bradley looking forward to a great week here at Torrey.
Yeah, Johnson Wagner, not the only guy who can rock the mustache. Great stuff from Kira. Let's take a quick look at the odds on the eve of the tournament. Two players rising above the rest. Ludvig Aberg at 9-1 and Hideki Matsuyama at 11-1. Matsuyama already has a win this season at the Century, and there's a bit of a gap between the rest of the field. Jason Day is a two-time winner at Torrey Pines. He's 25-1. Let's bring in Tripp. Each player, will play a round at the North Course, and if they make the cut, they get 3 rounds on the difficult South, one of the most intimidating tracks on tour. How would you describe the test ahead?
Well, it's night and day, really. And now they have beefed up a little bit the North Course. They have over the years, but it's still a birdie fest out there. Scoring average is less than 70 almost always. You've got to put something up with a 6 in front of it on the North. If you put something with a 7 in front of it, you're really behind the 8 ball. But a couple of things like in these rotation of courses, like we saw it last week with 3 different golf courses. This week we see it with 2 different golf courses. There's a couple of things that I think you can get an advantage on. First, take advantage of the North Course. You've got to do that. In particular, the par 5s. You can just devour the par 5s on the North Course. Every one of them can be reached in 2 shots, and you will see the players take advantage of that, and that's primarily the reason for the low scoring. Also, the fact that you've got a wedge in your hand about 6 or 7 other times, and you put wedges in the best players in the world hands, without much wind, they're gonna just eat it up. So that's one of the reasons why the North Course is there. Now, the South Course is the longest golf course on the PGA Tour this season. Last year it was the second longest because they played Castle Pines in the playoffs. That was over 8,000 yards long, but this stretches out over 7,700 yards. So it's a massive golf course on the South. One of the things I always liked, and I think if you took a poll of players, you would want to see where you are in the tee times, because you would want to play the North Course on Thursday, the South Course on Friday, make the cut, and you're playing the South Course right into the weekend. Now, the conditions of the greens don't vary too much, but again, I think when you can get into stride on a golf course that you're going to play the weekend on, it does give you a slight advantage. So a couple of things going into the weekend: look for a player who's mid-60s on the North Course, plays decent on Friday on the South Course, and I think those are going to be the guys to watch heading into the weekend on the leaderboard.
Love that. Got to have a 6 as the first number when you're playing the North Course. I'd probably have a 9 and sometimes a 10 if I was teeing it up. So who do you think is going to be due for a big week this week, Tripp?
Well, it's hard not to stray too far from Max Homa just because he has won here. Typically, this golf course, you see a lot of Californians on this golf course do quite well. Of course, few of them have had success over the years. Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods, speaking of Californians who've had success at Torrey Pines. I think Max Homa is one of those guys that first of all, this week he's got one of our guys. He's got John Wood on the bag. So there might be a little learning curve there, but he did go through a learning curve with some new irons. And I think Max is ready to rebound from not his best season last year. Ryder Cup year, Max Homa in that Ryder Cup. He's one of those guys that is a locker room, charisma guy that really can play with just about anybody. And I think he's extra motivated to put a little off year behind him from last year and really hit his stride in 2025 and make it real easy for Keegan Bradley to put him on that team at Bethpage.
Some good storylines. We'll see if our guy Woody can carry Max Homa to a second win around Torrey Pines. All right, Tripp, can't remind the folks at home enough, the Farmers Insurance Open is a Wednesday to Saturday event. The first 2 rounds can be seen right here on Golf Channel starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and coverage of the final 2 rounds start on Golf Channel at 3 p.m. Friday and 2 p.m. on Saturday before heading over to CBS for the conclusion.